welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Trades talk show, where we look into what happens into the lives of contractors outside of the trade. So I'm very excited for our guest today to be here. We have today Matt Rouget, and he is the co-founder and CEO of ScoreDash. I'm very excited because his story ought to be very interesting. He used to be a roofing contractor for 14 years, and before that, he was in the Navy. He is married, they have three kids. Guys, let's welcome Matt. Matt, I am so excited to hear your story. How did you even transition from roofing contractor to Square Dash, where you're giving people money up front, lending them up front to take care of their roofing businesses? Like, how did you even get there?
Yeah, that goes all the way back to my time in the Navy, but excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Excited to chat. But yeah, before I was a roofing contractor, I spent some time in the Navy. I was an avionics technician where I was in charge of basically maintaining and operating most of the equipment on the E6B, which is basically an in-air command post, and was responsible for understanding and troubleshooting probably over 100 systems. And so I really kind of gained an understanding of system architecture and, how things kind of go together and flow charts and all that good stuff. And never really thought it would come back into use. And then, after I got out of the Navy, somehow found my way into roofing. When I moved up to Dallas, Fort Worth, it was my first job. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a job waiting on me when I got here. And so I took a job at a roofing company thinking it was going to be kind of like a throwaway job, stepping stone. I'll find something. I'll find a real job, right? Is what I was telling myself. And turns out I was, turns out I was okay at it. I enjoyed it. I come from a long line of contractors and just being outside and being in the trade. So kind of brought me back to my roots, started my own company in 2010. And that's what I did ever since. And it was in around 2018. We did a little over $4 million of business that year. We'd started to grow the business and just realized the economies of scale and our cash conversion and our cash flow were not really taking off and coming into play the bigger we grew the business. And I almost went out of business twice that year. And I was like, okay, there's either I'm either the world's worst operator or there's something systemically, structurally wrong with how this industry operates. And that's really what kind of led to bringing SquareDash to market. And my background in systems troubleshooting and system architecture allowed me to not feel like a complete idiot in the room with very sound technical engineers that could write software. So it all kind of came full circle, and combined my industry experience in the roofing industry with some light technical chops to be able to understand how to bring a product to market. So
yeah, I understand. So I get it. I see it all the time. It's almost like the contractors, they struggle to keep the cash just because of the demands of the job. I see it all the time. We understand what that is. But what was it exactly that caused you to think, oh shoot, I probably should be on the other side of this? What was it that gave you that aha moment to want to be on the other side, serving them in that capacity?
Yeah, I think it was, it was based in a lot of naivete and ignorance on my part when I started the business, because and we see this in contractors across the country, and it really doesn't matter if they're 1 year into business or 10 years into business, because it's a pattern that once you get in, it's very, very hard to get out of that rob Peter to pay Paul kind of aspect of the business. And the way the story goes is most contractors, they are working for another company, or they know someone that's in roofing. You know, nobody dreams of being a roofer when they're a kid, but somehow they find it and they realize that it could be a lucrative, you know, sustainable business. And so they start it up, they get a credit line at the supplier. You know, maybe they get 10 or 20 or $50,000 to start the company as a starter line. And they think, okay, I have this credit line, I should probably utilize that, right? And then the more I utilize this credit line, the more business I can do, and the faster we'll grow. I can hire more salespeople, and yada yada yada, right? And so I very much fell into that trap. You know, I relied on that credit line at the material supplier as kind of my fuel for growth, and that's just not what it's meant to be. You can't fuel growth on a net 30 set of terms, right? And you're not
Right.
in better terms when you start your business. And so you kind of start off with one hand tied behind your back, where, you know, you're doing a job, you put the material on the credit line. It takes 60, 80, 90 days, whatever, to fully collect on the job. You really should have paid, the material bill with the you know, the ACV check that you got. But
Yep.
maybe you know, need to pay some bills, or you know, you need to pay labor, or you got to pay commissions, or you got to pay rent, or whatever overhead starts creeping into the business, and you start
Not to mention the personal side.
oh, not to mention the personal side, right? Like, you still have your own bills and your own lifestyle to support. And so yeah, I think that's a trap that a lot of contractors fall into, because it's just waiting for them right there as like this thing to walk into. And so yeah, like I said, once you get in that pattern, it's very hard to get out, because your business is already like in arrears, right? You're like always catching up, trying to catch up. And the minute sales slows down, you realize that you're running a Ponzi scheme that you never intended to, you never intended to start, right? You go into it with good intentions, but it's just the structure of the industry and the way the timelines work on the money really puts you at a disadvantage if you're not aware of it and you're not prepared for it. And very few contractors start a roofing company with $100,000 of cash in the bank, or whatever, you know, needs to ensure that you're not relying on, you know, really short-term terms at a material supplier credit line to kind of fuel your business in the early years. So
Yeah. What were some of the challenges that you had with, you know, starting up Square Dash? You know that the struggle is there, but what were some of the challenges that you had, not just marketing, but getting people to accept this new concept?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what challenges? So many challenges. So, you know, the first challenge, this started as kind of a tinkering project inside my roofing company. We had the notion that we were going to be able to build this end-to-end like roofing operating system that was just going to, you know, take it from the door knock all the way to the warranty delivery, right? And we were just going to be able to do that in this no code, low code platform. And, you know, that was our ignorance, thinking that we were going to be able to, you know, create a production quality software product on one of those platforms. And this was back in 2018, 2019. And so, you know, it wasn't until we really kind of realized that Cashflow was the problem that we really wanted to go after, that we really got serious about turning this into a company and you know, bringing a product to market and all of that. And I'm kind of glad that I had those couple of years of tinkering inside the company, because I realized how expensive it was, and I realized that I was not going to be able to fund, you know, the millions of dollars that it takes to build even some of the simplest software out there. And we were building something that was not simple, right? It was kind of complex on the back end of things. So raising money was a huge challenge, right? It took me almost 2 years. I probably talked to 200 or 300 investors that all told me no, until I found the first right set of investors. And before we actually went out to market to try and find investors, our angel round was actually made up of contractor friends of mine. We raised, you know, enough money to get an MVP in the market. And then it was, you know, into the grind of trying to raise money. And anybody who's ever raised money from investors knows exactly what I'm talking about, but it is a painful, if you think knocking doors is hard to sell roofs, try raising money from investors out there that would just love nothing else than to tell you how stupid you are and how bad of an idea this is. And that's
because you have to come up with the idea, you have to show them that it's profitable, you have to show them they're gonna get a return. You have to tell them the timeline. Like they're putting in it, they have a big risk.
Yeah, you've not only, I mean, I hate saying that you have to sell the dream. You have to like make the dream, right? Like you have to come up with a
Yeah,
product that can actually potentially become a really big business, $1 billion or more, for people for it to be investable, right? Like no one wants to put money in to 2x their money, right? They need to put enough money
exactly.
in to return the entire fund, which may be $100 million or, $500 million or whatever they're investing out of. And so they're looking for huge wins. And so it's really hard, especially for a niche industry like not only roofing, but insurance claims inside of roofing, right?
Yep.
And to really illustrate how big that total addressable market is and how big the opportunity is and how universal of a problem the cash flow constraints are in almost every single business in this space. So that was probably the biggest challenge. And then comes, all of the challenges of building the product and managing expectations and getting user feedback and like you said, selling the idea into the market. And in a lot of cases, contractors aren't even aware of the definition of cash flow, right? They just think it's money coming into
That
the
is
company.
true. That
They
is
don't
so
understand
true.
it's cash flow is a balance. It's a two-way street, right? It's managing the money coming in and also managing the money
And
going
what's
out.
going out.
And
Exactly.
a lot of contractors are really focused on the front end of the business. Sales and marketing is a sexy part of the business, and they don't like to talk or really put a lot of brain calories into thinking about how to optimize the back end of their business. And that's probably one of the main challenges still to this day, is getting through that kind of misconception.
Yeah, I totally get it. And trust me, I can see that you have a lot of stamina, dude. A lot of stamina to talk to over 200 people, 300 people wanting to sell this idea.
Yeah, because it's not like
I don't even know how you did it. Like, just it's a
I knew it was a problem. I knew it was a problem that needed to be solved. And, it's not like knocking on 200 doors that you can do in an afternoon or two, right? This is
right. You have to schedule
out,
them and
you have
follow
to
up.
outreach to the investors, and then they ghost you for 2 weeks, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll take a meeting, and then they reschedule that meeting, and then you have the
Oh my
meeting,
god.
and it's a grind. I mean, it is a grind. And then yeah, and the other side, the challenge in the market. So we have two sides to the business, right? We have the working capital piece where we'll purchase your receivables from you on approved insurance claims, right? So you can get paid as soon as you finish. But then based on user feedback and our own observations, we added, at the very end of last year of 2023, we added the managed billing component of it, where we become your billing
Mm.
department, and it's managed accounts receivable, where we're doing all of the administrative lift, calling the carriers, dealing with the mortgage companies, calling the homeowners, and facilitating the repayments and all that stuff, tracking down the money, which is what a lot of contractors and their salespeople waste a lot of time doing. And as you can imagine, taking over that financial operation for contractors when you're creating something out of thin air, right, based on user feedback, we're going to make some mistakes, and we're going to have to kind of stumble through how to build systems and processes and our own software to be able to facilitate that level of service delivery across hundreds of contractors across the United States. So that's also been a challenge, in the early days. I probably owe some of our early customers a couple of steak dinners, because it was a bumpy road, right? It was not a
Yeah,
smooth process, but we've got it down now, and we've got service delivery stabilized, and it's going well. So you got to go through the fire to get to the other side sometimes. So
absolutely. Fail forward, right?
that's it. They just got to keep going.
Fail forward. Yeah. So how did faith that it's going to work out, faith that a higher power has got your back, faith that there's something out there in the universe listening to you. How did that help you to move from or keep you grounded on the vision, the idea that you had? How did that help you to stay focused to achieving what you wanted to achieve?
Great question. Yeah. So, I kind of grew into my faith later in life, but I was always, in tune, maybe, I guess is a good word. I think that's probably a common, notion from a lot of people, is that they kind of feel God pulling on their heartstrings and leading them in the right direction, even if they're not ready to kind of step up and come to the table, and devote their life to a higher power. So from a very early age, I was always interested in solving big problems and creating value, even if I didn't realize that my motivation was, like, maybe my motivation wasn't to create value, but it was just always something that motivated me to try and like fix things and find out the solution to big problems, because I knew that there was a payday or opportunity on the other side of that. But it wasn't until I think I made the decision to, and it wasn't because of Square Dash, but it all just kind of happened at the same time, that I really found a mission and a purpose in helping transform the way this industry operates, because this industry is an awesome industry, right? Like, these people, they go out, they're helping people after bad things happen in other people's lives, and sure, we get paid for it, and that's part of the value exchange, but like, it's fulfilling work, right? Like, I don't think you could talk to any contractor that's been doing this for any length of time that does not get some type of fulfillment out of what they do when they get thanked by a customer, or you have a lady crying and thanking God that you showed up when you did and knocked on her door because she didn't know what she was going to do about this leak in her roof that's been happening, and no one's willing to help her. So like, that fueled me as a contractor. And when I pray, when things are going wrong in the business or things are challenging and I pray about it, I pray that God gives me the wisdom and the guidance to continue helping people, right? To continue bringing a solution into the market that helps people, because yes, it helps our business, and there's the capitalistic nature of what we do, right? But I know that by helping contractors, there's a downstream effect all the way back to the policyholder and the homeowner. And so that is a big piece of what keeps me going, because trust me, there have been plenty of times where I've just wanted to throw in the towel, and he told me just keep going.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So, do you have like a routine that, maybe you get up every single day, you have a small devotion or something, you go to church on the weekends? Do you have anything like that to keep you grounded, even though you may not necessarily, like, you're not in that same position when you just got started, but I'm sure that there are new challenges?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we go to church every Sunday. I mean, we miss every now and then, but we'll watch it from home.
Yeah.
And I try, I'm the first one up in the mornings. I try and have, an hour or two to myself to either read the Bible or just, sit and quiet and, focus on what I want to do for the day. And, sometimes it's just doom scrolling on Facebook, right? Like, I try and,
Yeah.
but I try and have some quiet time in the morning to, just collect my thoughts and prepare for the day, check my schedule, see what's coming up, and just kind of ease into the day before the chaos ensues. Because we have 3 kids, right? And we have our youngest is 4. We have a 12-year-old daughter, and then we have a 17-year-old daughter. So we've got one going into college, one going into kindergarten. So as you can imagine, there's just a lot going on all the time. So
I have a 4-year-old, so trust me, I get it.
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So, with everything that you have going on, like, how do you manage to keep the relationship going with your wife and with your children? How do you fit them in with the busy schedule that you have?
Man, that's a great question, and it's also something that you have to work at, right? It doesn't, none of that ever stops, right? Your relationship with your spouse never stops. Your relationship with your kids never
Right.
stops. Your relationship with your business, if you own the business, never stops, right? And so I try and, I make it a point to try and be home by around 6:30 every day, because I joke, I'm basically a professional Zoom jockey these days versus when I was a contractor driving around town and, getting on roofs and doing all the stuff that
Yeah.
I, enjoyed. Now I attend a lot of meetings every day because, our team's growing and, you just have to manage the business. So I usually don't even get to my productivity, phase of the day until 3:30, 4 o'clock every day. So I'm really trying to like cram in as much productivity in those last couple of hours of the day. Sometimes that bleeds into, home time, but I try and
Yeah.
be done with work as much as possible. But I also, if I have work to do, I try and fit it in pockets when I'm at home of like other things going on, right? When the kids have gotten into their homework groove, or when it's bath time, if I'm not doing bath time, right? Like I try and get little pockets of work done so that I can be present. But yeah, it's something you have to work at and be very intentional about. I don't know what my wife would score me, but hopefully it's like a B plus.
But I like the word that you used. You said you have to be intentional, and the fact that you're conscious of it and would love to probably hear what she thinks. That to me tells that you are being intentional about it, and
Well,
or that
that's
you're
come
working towards it.
that's come through a lot of work because I wasn't always intentional about it, right? Before we got married, I was a workaholic and I would just like bury myself in work and work till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's just not healthy, even for your own self. But yeah, it's a learned thing. You have to be intentional about it, and you have to be mindful of other people's, time and attention and needs. So, yeah.
Yeah. As you just mentioned health, I mean, I hear you. You get up early, you try to do your morning, to get back to yourself, try to work into the day. But do you exercise like a couple times a week? How do you even fit in your meals during all your Zoom calls and everything? Having such a tight schedule. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, meals is actually a bigger thing. I'll start there, right? I order meals from a company called Cook Unity, not a paid promoter of
Ooh.
that, but they cook really good pre-made meals, packaged meals, and you pop into the microwave for 2 minutes. So I'm usually eating at my desk. I used to go out to, I work in an area where there's lots of restaurants and lots of stuff around, so within walking distance of anything I want. But that's it's a waste of time, right? It really is a waste of time when you have so much to do every day. So I literally probably spend about 10 minutes, eating lunch, just because I bring those with me and I pop them in the microwave, and they're good, healthy meals, right? And they have all the diets that you can be on. You can be on Mediterranean, keto, vegetarian, all that stuff. So you can get good, healthy meals these days. So I would, if anybody's busy out there and is looking for something like that, that's my strategy. As far as exercise, probably a C minus on the grade there. I try and go for walks in the morning. Sometimes that's a big piece of my morning kind of routine, is just going on a 45-minute walk around the neighborhood. And there's something about um, being in action without having to think about what you're doing allows your brain to kind of open up and have a lot of like, really creative kind of problem solving time. And I've solved some of my most complex and like weird problems just on my morning walks. And I'm pretty regular about it. I usually go on 2 or 3 walks, a week in the morning. But there's some mornings that, you just, you know,
Yeah.
you wake up late, or, I'm not perfect on that, but
Of course not.
um, yeah. But yeah, I try and do some activity as much as I can.
Yeah, you are definitely a workaholic, because if you sit at your desk, you pop it in the microwave, you sit at your desk and eat for 10 minutes, that's definitely a workaholic. Like, I do the same thing. I don't even stop sometimes.
Sometimes you
Sometimes
can't.
you're still clicking,
Yeah.
and you're putting in a spoonful in your mouth. Like, I can't get up. I have
Yeah,
so
you're
much
you're
to
working
do.
working around the keyboard, working around your meal on the keyboard. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the business doesn't stop, and we're affecting real people's businesses out there, and we don't take it lightly, and we try not to put things off, and if something needs to get done, you just got to get it done.
Yeah.
And so um yeah, and I'll pop in a walk every now and then, during the middle of the day too. If I have like a gap, I'll try and walk around the area outside here. We've got a nice walkable area, so. you know, try and fit it in,
Yeah.
but just got to do what you got to do.
I want to touch a little bit more on what you just said. You just mentioned that you're impacting people's lives, real people's lives. The reason I want to touch on that is, for me, it's the same thing. Like, some people look at me, and when I tell them, I used to tell people when they ask me what I do, I used to tell them I do accounting. But I stopped telling people that because they see it as just accounting.
Mm.
And to me, it's not just because it's people's lives, you know? It's
Yeah.
not just the numbers, it's people's lives. And when I sit and I think about how far it goes, my impact affect generations. Like, sometimes I sit and I see people with their grandkids on my Facebook. They're excited to go have time with family. So it's not just them, you know? And then that impacts the people that they work with.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's a whole lot of different factors that are involved, a lot of different people who are involved. So yeah, I love that. So tell me, and I hear you earlier when you said that one of the most fulfilling part, even for me, is to see a customer smile or to hear thank you. That's my favorite part too.
Yeah.
Tell me, aside from that, what is the best part? Aside from that, maybe what's the second best then for you when you think about the mission that you have, when you think about the vision, where you're going? What is the part that you look forward to the most?
Oh man, that's a great question. Obviously customer satisfaction is like at the top of our list, right? We want to make sure that we're delivering value and that we're helping the business and not, creating more work or creating, ripples in the business. So that's kind of our main focus, right? But second to that is, seeing our team succeed, right? Because
Ah,
we've literally built something out of nothing. This solution did not exist in a way that had ever succeeded or lasted. There was lots of people that have tried some similar working capital solutions, and they were kind of flashes in the pan because there is just a lot that has to go into delivering this product to the market in a meaningful way that actually works. And so to see our team, be able to come in and trust the leadership that, like, hey, look, we've got this mission, we've got this goal. It's going to be a really bumpy ride. Things are going to change almost daily. And we need you to be committed to being okay with that. Because some people are not, like, that's just not how they're made. They want stability. They want, um, not comfort, but they just need like that stability, knowing that like they're working at a company that's already got it figured out, right? And
yeah,
startup life is not that, right? You're figuring it out as you go,
right. As you
and
go.
and you have to be conscious of that, and you have to be excited about that every day you wake up and come to work. And to see our team kind of like really wrap their arms around that and be excited and just roll with the punches and contribute to how to make things better, or how to change this or how to change that, that's been really fulfilling, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, I know what it's like. I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So within the next, I don't know, year, 5 years, what are some of the things that you guys are working on to bring to the roofers to improve their businesses?
Yeah, so I mentioned, the managed billing services and the working capital that we do. Um, from a product standpoint, we're bringing a lot of automations in that to make it even less human driven than it has to be. And I think it's an exciting time in technology with AI and large language models and all of the things that we have at our disposal, um, to not replace jobs, to empower people and be force multipliers, in our ability to kind of deliver this service and this product to our contractors. Um, so that's some of the product stuff that we're working on. Partnerships is something we're looking forward to in 2025. Um, whether that be with material suppliers, because they're usually the last ones to get paid and they carry all the bad debt in the industry.
Hmm.
So partnering with them to make their customer base more financially healthy, potentially partnering with insurance carriers to get on board with the benefits to their policyholders of contractors being able to get paid faster, and indirectly through paying the customer or the policyholder faster. So partnerships and really kind of aligning with other people in the industry that are bringing value and helping
Yeah.
this industry grow. We're trying to align ourselves with those as well. So we got a lot of green field ahead of us. We're super excited about the coming years and the things we have on our roadmap. So
Absolutely. I love it because it's those relationships, like relationships. Nothing drives a business faster than having those relationships. So I love it.
and technical partnerships, right? Integrating with CRMs and things of that nature.
CRMs.
We've got that on our roadmap as well, because
Awesome.
that's the dream for most contractors, is like the easy button. Like, I just want to push a
Yeah.
button, send it to you and all that stuff. But it's
Hmm.
as with any simple concept, it's very hard to do. So
Yeah, I understand. Thank you so much.
yeah.
So, how is it that people can find you? If
Yeah,
a roofer
Square
was
Dash.
watching this now, yeah, they
Yeah,
wanted
you can just go
to.
to squaredash.com. There's a big orange button that says schedule a consultation. That'll get you to our sales team to learn more about your business. See what problems you're having, see how we can help, and move you through the process.
Awesome sauce. I love it. Thank you so much, Matt, for coming on today. Thank you for sharing your
Absolutely.
stories. Like, it's been very interesting. I love it. I love what you are bringing to the roofing industry. I love it.
Thank
If
you.
you are watching and you would like to be featured as one of our guests, please send me a DM on Facebook. Please go to our Facebook page, Beyond the Trades Talk Show, and you can hit contact us, and it'll get you sent directly to me, and it will schedule your show. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks so much.